Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome to a discussion video. Wow, you don't see me doing a lot of these often, but considering that Friendship is Magic is coming up on its final year, I feel that this is an appropriate time to make one. God, it really is hard to believe that it's almost over. After almost 10 seasons, countless porn, and 4 pedophiles, this colorful show for little girls about cartoon horses will finally come to an end. Well, at least for this generation. So today's primary focus is going to be on discussing and dissecting the outline of the previous 8 seasons of Friendship is Magic and use that to see what we would want to see at the end of the series. And I'll even throw in my own idea of how I feel the series should go, because this is gonna be the season that decides everything. If season 9 is a flop, then it will leave the show with a very poor image. If season 9 is great, then it's left us with having countless hours of rewatch time and leaving this generation with an unforgettable impact. This is going to be the biggest season of the entire series, and I am honestly afraid to see what it won't and what it will have to offer. Now please guys remember that don't think I'm coming off as correct. This is just how I see things, this is just my own personal opinion based off of what we've been exposed to for the past 8 years. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Always feel free to let me know down below, but please be civil and constructive about it. It makes things easier for everyone. So for the past year, a lot of people would say that Friendship is Magic is dying. Not just because the show itself is coming to an end, but because a lot of people would say that the more recent episodes just don't have the same feel and impact as they once did. And that is mostly an opinionated statement. But is it an accurate statement? Well, guys, let's dive into some history. Season 1 of Friendship is Magic is one of the greatest and most impactful ways to kick off a series. The first episode had an easy to understand plot point, all the main characters that we would be seeing much more of were introduced really smoothly and effectively, and Season 1 had a huge list of successful performing episodes that many of us still remember to this day. Of course, it had a couple episodes that didn't hold up as well, but that's to be expected. Season 2 greatly expanded on the series' plot point, introducing us to more important morals and life lessons, and some would say even greater episodes. For anyone in the fandom who was around this early would probably say that Season 2 was one of, if not the greatest season of the show. Of course, it had a few tough spots here and there, but again, that's to be expected. Season 3 kept the steady flow of plot going and giving us even more unforgettable episodes, while of course having a few bad spots here and there with only half the length of an average season. Now this is where people would say the series hit its first huge stump with the introduction of Princess Twilight Sparkle. This is around the time a lot of people would say that early viewers really steered away from the show. By giving us such a big change with little to no warning, a lot of people would say that this sudden change left a huge imprint on the show that can never be washed away. Well, real quick, let's talk about that. The Friendship is Magic series' main focus at the start was having Unicorn Twilight Sparkle be sent off to a more social place in her homeland of Equestria to learn about the magic of friendship. Whilst making some new friends, they all go on continuous and sometimes perilous journeys, and having Twilight use those experiences to interpret them into friendship lessons. Season 2 greatly expanded on this, with not only having Twilight continue her lessons, but also having the rest of the main 6 learn more about friendship themselves. And when the time was finally right, Princess Celestia decided that her pupil was ready to harness these lessons as the Princess of Friendship. Honestly guys, I know I started off the series a little bit later than usual, but I really don't understand why this left such a big dent for everybody. Keep in mind that Twilight is the protege of the ruler of Equestria. After going on so many adventures and learning all she could about friendship, taking her life experiences and doing what she can to become a better pony for herself and the ponies close to her, Princess Celestia decided that her pupil was ready to be given the title of Princess of Friendship. If you ask me guys, that's a pretty decent plot setup. We just weren't expecting it. Getting back to it, Season 4 of the series was basically following the same routine as the previous seasons, except Twilight was walking around with wings. Plus, there were no more friendship lessons. The only times they actually focused on Twilight and her new role as princess was during the premieres and finales, and just a couple episodes here and there. The rest of the season felt like the style that we've already been comfortable with for the past few years at this point. Season 4 was very memorable, good episodes, bad episodes, nothing we haven't seen already. Season 5 of the series was absolutely beautiful, introducing the Cutie Map to the series, a map that guides the main 6 around Equestria to solve friendship problems amongst its inhabitants, expanding on the point that not only Twilight but the rest of the main 6 put their own lessons and experiences with friendship to good use, as Celestia set them up for that in Season 2. This season also introduced Starlight, my girl, and it still kept up with the basic routine of the show. The Season 5 finale was magnificent because it centered a lot of what we know and tied it into a huge plot point in the story to give us one of the most suspenseful episodes of the series. If I'm honest, I would have been happy if the show ended here. But of course, friendship never dies. Season 6 has to be one of, if not my favorite season of the show. A real trend I notice in this season from time to time is that this season exaggerated more on character development from past and new characters, giving more to offer for the following seasons. This season was jam-packed full of amazing episodes. There are so many episodes in this season I would consider putting in my top 10. While this season had a few key moments with the aforementioned trend amongst new and old characters, it still managed to stick with its basic routine while on top of all that sticking with the cutie map plot point, which is just overall an amazing experience. Season 7 was a huge one for the show, and I feel it has something to do with the time period. I think that this was at a point when everyone was wondering how much longer the show was going to keep going. When the season began, I can already feel it giving off a much different vibe. There was just something about the season that stuck out to me from the beginning, and after checking out the episode list more recently, I found out what could have played a big part. This season has an incredibly awkward balance of great episodes and okay episodes. It felt like there was no in between. This season didn't have any episodes that I would consider straight up horrendous, but it wouldn't feel safe calling them decent episodes either. And what I would consider the biggest problem for this season is that they took a major plot point with incredible, not to mention very important potential, and completely butcher it with a semi-dramatic, lackluster finale. They spent a few episodes of the season building up legendary ponies in Equestria completely out of nowhere, with some of us thinking that they would have little to no more importance for the rest of the season, which sadly is a common trend amongst the show. With the exception of course being Star Scroll, because he's been built up since almost the beginning. They took these other characters and contributed them to the Elements of Harmony plot point, the plot point that basically kicked off the series. I feel that if we would have had a much better build up to this, then this plot point would have worked beautifully. However, even with all of that, they still managed to stick to the same base of the show. This season had some overall great episodes. It's even the home to my favorite episode. However, again, this was at a point where people didn't really know how to handle the show. They didn't know what to think of it or what to do with it, and thus it's safe to say that this is where the show began impacting viewers much more negatively. And this is around the time I began to see people saying that the series was beginning to die. Now, Season 8 has to be one of the most confusing seasons of the series. It really does feel like the writers were kind of unsure of themselves here, introducing us to a whole new plot point that becomes a huge focus for the show when the show is already nearing the end of its life cycle. But that's not to say that it's entirely ineffective, because they managed to mix in the misadventures of the main six while throwing in the elements of the newest plot point. And for the most part, I'd say they were semi-successful because this season had great episodes, while of course having a few rough ones, but as we've seen, that's what's to be expected. So let's ask ourselves again, for the past 2 years, has Friendship is Magic been dying amongst its viewers? For me, this is honestly not a very easy question to answer. It is true that Friendship is Magic does not have the same feel that the series once did, and my main argument for that would be that it's just been going on for too long, and that time has started to take a toll on it. Going back to the premise, after all these years, they still had managed to stick with one major plot point for the show: the adventures of Twilight and her friends, using the main bulk of the seasons to explore the land and share friendship, whilst using the season's premieres and finales to add in some major plot points that will likely affect the series onward in some way. So with all this in mind, what should we expect in Season 9? Should we expect the same routine? Short answer, yes. But do we want that? Now here's the thing, I'm not just saying to immediately change the show's everlasting routine without any warning or explanation. What I am considering is that for the final season of the show, we should get something with expanding events and something that will reflect and impact everything we've learned so far. What do I mean? Here's what I'm suggesting. Now, I'm not going into full-depth plot ideas, but this is the base for what I would like to see and how I would like the series to end. The Season 9 premiere should start up with an impactful event, whether it be a new villain, past villain, whatever it may be. But whatever happens ends with a catastrophic conflict across Equestria. These events leave Equestria as a desolate, eerie ghost town of a land with nothing but sadness, depression, and negativity. Thorax, Ember, the Yaks, and all the other allies want nothing more to do with Twilight and her friends. It's every pony for themselves. The struggle to get as much land covered for their own species alone is the main focus. But as you can imagine, even in a state like this, where all hope seems lost, Twilight and the others get up, dust themselves off, and go back to what they do best, spreading the magic of friendship across Equestria. They spend the entire season traveling throughout the land, rebuilding what they once had and making it even stronger this time, bringing old friends back together, giving people the strength and will to look towards the future, to help them fight, show them that coming together was what they've been missing this entire time. By spreading friendship, they spread happiness, and with happiness comes the smiles. And the smiles are all they need. By the end, the war will be over, all species will be united, and the magic of friendship will finally be spread all throughout the land, giving Equestria the peace, love, and positivity that it's been asking for this entire time. And no, I haven't read the article about the Season 9 leaks. I want to remain spoiler-free, and I wanted to share my opinions and ideas without feeling any doubt, even though this article probably debunks everything I've already said. Now, of course, guys, I understand that this is a show for a younger audience, and we probably won't get something quite like this, but from a cinematic point of view, this is just how I would like to see things go. Again, this is just my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to please let me know down below what you think and how the series should end. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please be sure to like and sub for more pony related content. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace out, everyone.
But there's a light shining deep inside, those fears and doubts, so just watch 'em.